The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with the murmurs of dozens of alien species, each seated in their ornate, elevated positions. At the center, the human delegation sat in silence, their expressions unreadable. Ambassador Elias Carter, Earth's chief diplomat, leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. "We are offering a fair and mutually beneficial treaty. Trade, defense cooperation, resource sharing, terms that ensure stability for all parties." The response was laughter. Not from all, but enough to make the tension in the room unbearable. A towering Zeldar, its chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the chamber's artificial light, waved a claw dismissively. "Humans speak as if they are equals," it scoffed. "Yet, what do you truly offer? Your fleets are primitive. Your colonies insignificant. You demand respect you have not earned." Carter remained composed. "We're offering peace, not submission. Our presence in this council should tell you we have value." Another delegate, a reptilian hfy, flicked its forked tongue. A mistake soon corrected. The murmurs grew. A few species, the ones who had worked with humans before, looked uncomfortable. They had seen what humanity could do, how quickly they adapted, how fiercely they fought when cornered. But the dominant powers in the council saw only arrogance in the human stance. The council speaker, an ancient, many-eyed Ivani, finally spoke. "Humanity must understand its place. You are not here to negotiate, but to accept our guidance. Rejecting this would be unwise." Carter exhaled slowly. He had hoped reason would prevail. But deep down, he knew this was always the likely outcome. He stood, straightened his jacket, and spoke with quiet finality. "If this is your decision, then so be it. Humanity will not be a subject of your rule." He turned, walking away without another word. The human delegation followed, their silence heavier than any shouted threat. For the first time in Galactic Council history, a species had walked away from the negotiating table. The chamber erupted in noise, some in shock, others in amusement. The Zeldar delegate chittered in satisfaction. "Let them leave. Without the council's support, they will crawl back soon enough." A lone voice, belonging to an older, battle-scarred Vayari, cut through the noise. "You fools," he muttered. "You don't understand what you've just done." But no one listened. The council had made its choice. The council chamber was quieter than usual. The departure of the human delegation had left a strange tension in the air, but the dominant species saw no reason for concern. The humans would come to regret their defiance soon enough. The Zeldar Dominion had already drafted sanctions. Effective immediately, all human trade routes would be cut off, their embassies shuttered, and any attempt to expand beyond their current borders would be met with force. It was a standard response, one that had crushed countless species before. "This will be over quickly," a hfy strategist said confidently. "Their economy will collapse. They lack the infrastructure to survive in isolation." Others nodded in agreement. Humanity had advanced quickly but was still relatively new to the galactic stage. Their technology was reverse-engineered, their fleets small, their influence limited. Without the council's support, they would stagnate. It was only a matter of time before they came crawling back, humbled and obedient. But not everyone was convinced. Their history says otherwise, an older Vayari warrior warned. They do not surrender. When pressured, they adapt. They fight. The council dismissed the concern. Wars between the major species had ended centuries ago. Conflicts were fought through diplomacy, economic pressure, and controlled skirmishes. Humanity would have no choice but to fall in line. Reports from intelligence networks seemed to confirm this. Human ships had withdrawn from council-controlled space. Their diplomats had cut communication. Earth had gone silent. "Pride," the speaker declared. "They will realize their mistake soon enough." Still, some noticed troubling signs. A few outer colonies, ones deemed too insignificant to monitor closely, had fallen quiet. Supply ships sent to human-adjacent sectors were disappearing. Patrol fleets reported strange sensor readings, shadows where no ships should be. And then, the first distress signal came in. A Zeldar convoy, escorted by a full battle group, had been attacked while traveling through what had once been human trade lanes. No warning, no demands, just a swift, calculated assault. The attackers were never seen. By the time reinforcements arrived, there was nothing left but debris. The council refused to believe it. Pirates, rogue elements, nothing more. But the attacks continued. Key supply lines were severed, communication relays destroyed, entire stations abandoned overnight. The humans weren't coming back to the council. They were preparing for war. The council's fleets mobilized, but it was already too late. The war had begun before they even realized they were in one. Supply lines were in ruins, trade hubs left derelict. Entire sectors had gone dark, not from open battle, but from precise, methodical strikes. Council ships sent to investigate never returned. When the first real confrontation came, it was a massacre. A Zeldar war fleet, one of the most powerful in the galaxy, was dispatched to retake a former human trade colony. They expected a swift, overwhelming victory. Instead, they were met with a battlefield unlike anything they had ever seen. Human warships didn't fight conventionally. They didn't charge in formation or engage in predictable patterns. They struck from the void, ships appearing from the darkness, weapons already firing. Council shielding, once considered impenetrable, failed against kinetic weapons moving at impossible speeds. Fleet Command tried to regroup, but their orders never went through. Communications had been severed before the first shots were even fired. By the time the battle ended, the Zeldar fleet was gone. Not just defeated, eradicated. Not a single ship survived. Panic spread through the council. They had underestimated humanity, not just in strength but in strategy. These weren't the desperate attacks of a dying species. This was a coordinated, calculated dismantling of their power. The humans had not acted alone. Species the council had ignored or oppressed now stood beside them. The Vayari, once hesitant, had pledged their warriors. The outcast colonies on the fringe provided supply lines. Even former pirate factions had been brought into the fold. Humanity had turned the council's own tactics against them, cutting them off, bleeding them dry, making every move a losing one. Desperation set in. Counterattacks were planned, alliances were called upon, but nothing worked. The council had always fought their wars through dominance, through overwhelming force. They had never faced an enemy that refused to fight on their terms. The final blow came when a council fortress world, believed to be impenetrable, fell in a single night. Defenses shut down without warning. Planetary shields collapsed. By the time reinforcements arrived, the humans were already gone. The only thing left behind was a message, broadcast across every known frequency. You should have listened. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike any before. Gone was the arrogance, the laughter, the certainty of superiority. The chamber, once filled with voices that commanded empires, was now ruled by silence and fear. Reports lay scattered across the great table, entire fleets missing, colonies abandoned, military supply lines non-existent. The Zeldar Dominion, once the strongest power in the galaxy, had lost half its territories. The Hvarric warlords had sealed their borders, refusing to answer distress calls. Even the speaker, ancient and unshaken for centuries, now spoke in hushed tones. We must negotiate, one of the remaining leaders admitted. Whatever pride we held before is meaningless now. The irony was bitter. The humans had come to this very chamber seeking peace, only to be mocked and dismissed. Now, they did not ask for peace. They demanded surrender. A single transmission cut through the council's scrambled communications, overriding every secured channel. The image was dark, faceless, only a voice, steady and absolute. Ambassador Elias Carter, but no longer a diplomat. The Galactic Council is no more, he said. Your rule is finished. Your corruption, your arrogance, it ends today. He did not offer terms. There was no request for reparations, no demand for apologies. Only a simple choice. Surrender, or vanish. Some still thought to resist. A final fleet was assembled, a desperate attempt to salvage the remains of power. It never launched. Human forces had already infiltrated its command structure, disabling ships before they left their docks. There was no battle. Just silence. One by one, the council worlds fell in line. Not by force, but by inevitability. Without their fleets, without their control, they were nothing. The last act of the council was not a war declaration, nor an evacuation. It was a single message, sent to every remaining civilization. A warning for the future. We were wrong. The humans never responded. They didn't need to. The galaxy already understood.